The Golden Rain Foundation had their regularly scheduled meeting yesterday at 9:30, and with us today is the president of the Golden Rain Foundation, Lloyd Foster. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yesterday, somewhat regular meeting, nothing too crazy went on. A couple of items I know were discussed. One of them I know we want to talk about. I guess there was quite a bit of discussion regarding the picnic benches down in that Aliso Creek area.
Yes, there was.
Why was that such a hot topic yesterday?
Well, some of the directors want to keep it pristine, just like it is. They don't want to bring in anything that will detract from the natural beauty of the area. Others felt it was an ideal location for a couple of picnic tables because in our needs assessment, which was done a while back, one of the things that the residents wanted that came out of that survey was more picnic tables, hiking trails, and outdoor recreation type things. So the landscape committee took a lot of time in discussing this issue, and they brought before the board a resolution which was amended by the committee before the board even basically started discussion on it, and it just didn't generate enough interest on the board, and the motion failed.
It failed, huh?
Yes.
Interesting. I know, speaking of that survey, there was a lot of discussion regarding health and wellness as well. It seems like the community is really looking for a kind of a health and fitness wellness center too, to be located in the community.
Yeah, one of the things that came out of that survey, just for discussion's sake, was an enclosed swimming pool, a super gym, which would incorporate a basketball court and the regular fitness stuff. The location was the problem.
So the discussion wasn't to renovate Clubhouse 1, where they do have a half-court gym in there, but they're talking about a separate location.
We're going to renovate the old indoor shuffleboard court, which is building B.
Right.
We're going to renovate that and repurpose that, but the decision on what to put in there hasn't been made. So we can't refurbish it until we know what we're going to put in it.
Right.
And that has a price tag of $750,000 set aside for the refurbishment of that building and the repurposing.
Is the cost, the escalating costs associated with the renovation of buildings like this because of the age of the buildings and the new requirements that
yes, to make a simple answer, yes, because you have to bring it up to code, and those buildings are not earthquake proof. They don't meet a lot of the electrical and plumbing and heating codes, so all of that has to be brought up to today's codes. And that's why it's expensive.
Right. And speaking of that, there's been talks as well as Clubhouse 2 possibly going through some kind of renovation as well.
We're going to renovate that. In fact, there's a meeting this morning at Clubhouse 2 to discuss with the architect his proposals for that building.
Interesting. Well, as we see, the community is going to be 50 years old here in a couple of years, and just like anything else, it needs maintenance and sometimes some renovation and sometimes new. And that's a hard decision for the board to bring upon the community.
Well, the board, as the trustees of the trust, who owns title to all of the community facilities, such as the clubhouse, the pools, the equestrian, golf, and all that, their task is to maintain, repair, or replace. And of course, we can build new if the need arises. But it all takes a lot of money, and all the money comes from the residents initially. So we have to temper that with what the mutuals need to keep their facilities up to date.
Right, and that's a continuing process. I know as far as staff, we're getting ready for our kickoff for our 2014 budget planning, and this is something that occurs on schedule, and it has to, because it's such a large facility that we have here in in our community.
Well, we're a small city.
Basically, that's it, right?
You know, 18 to 20,000 people is not a small association.
Right. You have any other items you want to bring forth?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Everything yesterday was pretty routine. We did table one motion, which was titled the Gate Beautification Project.
Mm-hmm.
That was tabled, and that also had a price tag of $750,000,
Wow.
which was primarily Gate 1.
Mm-hmm.
That project there started out for 2 gates, Gates 1 and Gate 5, and the price tag kept going up and up and up, and we kept changing what was going to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided that the key factors there was traffic flow and safety.
Right.
And the design just did not accommodate that.
Right.
There are other ways we can accommodate the traffic flow through automation, which security is looking at.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think in the next meeting or two, they're going to talk to a consultant about what they came up with in their report.
Something similar to some of these communities we see out there that might have that gate that
Well,
that
it
opens
can
and
be a
closes?
gate, it can be an optical reader.
Right.
I think the one we're looking at is an optical reader of the license plates.
Oh,
And everybody will
wow.
be
Basically,
on,
you
be
just
on
have
the
your
screen.
you have your license plate scanned, and then
Yeah.
it sees it. Wow,
Right.
that's pretty fancy.
And then there's provisions for, you know, like rental cars,
Sure.
or if your car's in the shop and you use a loaner or something like that, you can still use your ID card.
Right, and there'll still be a person at the gate,
Yes.
an ambassador
Yes.
at the gate at all times, I imagine.
And
anyways.
the company that's doing the consulting on it suggested that there may be a couple of gates that we can automate with no attendance,
Mhm.
even though we would have to pay quite a bit up front.
Right,
On the long term, we would save on labor and
benefits and all that, right? You have that exit-only gate that's out
Yes.
in the community too. I could see that as being
Yeah.
a test area at
Yeah.
least. Very interesting. Well, you're coming off the Golden Ring Foundation board.
Correct.
And we thank you for your years of service.
Thank you.
What are your plans now?
I'm gonna catch up on everything I haven't done for 6 years.
There you go. Yep, there's a lot of catching up to
Yep.
do, right? Well, you do have a meeting on Thursday. That's going to be at 10
Yes.
o'clock. That'll be your annual meeting. So we
Right.
encourage residents to not only attend here in your boardroom, but also tune into Channel 6 if you can't make it over here. This will be the annual meeting of the Golden Ring Foundation Board, and do encourage you to come over and thank Mr. Foster for your years of service here in our community.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks for
It's
joining us on the
been a
program
pleasure.
today. You bet. That's Lloyd Foster. He's the president of the Golden Rain Foundation, and again, their replay is going to be November 8th at 1:30, and then as well on the 14th at 6 o'clock. That meeting did run a little over 3 hours long, but also tune in on Thursday at 10 o'clock here on Channel 6 for the annual meeting, and that'll be at 10 o'clock from the boardroom. We'll be back with more of the Channel 6 News Hour right after this.